I'm here with Mary Moloney. You're a senior executive at Accenture. You're hosting a table here today. Why?
I think it's really important for women to be very visible in business, not to shy away from big events like this. This particular event is very international of its nature. There's a lot of leaders from very exciting, innovative companies in town, and we need to make our presence felt in a very subtle but at the same time meaningful way. So at my table, I'm delighted. I've got people involved in websites. I've got some of my clients who are involved in delivering large change programs in Ireland, and are fundamental to the success of some of the really important indigenous companies in Ireland, and also working with some of the internationals. And it's very good to have them here, to have them share stories and to collaborate and support each other. So underneath the scenes, women, in my experience, have a great network, and they really encourage each other and really support each other and help each other in ways that you wouldn't even realise or recognise.
Your company has a gender policy or equality policy. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we actually look at it in a slightly different way. Traditionally, back in the 90s, people had accent on women programmes. They had let's focus on gender and gender balance and gender equality. Accenture has what we call our diversity and inclusion programme, which is a much more holistic way of looking at the entire workforce, not just women, not just those with mobility challenges or enablement challenges. So we have a programme that incorporates all of those things, and we try and make the workforce as inclusive as at all possible. So we do have a very active Accent on Women programme, which is both internally focused around retaining our best talent and encouraging flexible working practices and making those very obvious to people, understanding that people have difficulty balancing returning from maternity leave into very competitive work situations, and we put a lot of focus and attention around women who at points of time in their lives need to work through what that's going to mean in terms of balancing their career and their work-life balance. But again, we would see it as a broader challenge because men too are parents, and parenting is much more shared right now. So as well as having an Accent on Women programme, we also have an Accent on Family programme, where we encourage men to share their experiences and what they're struggling with and what they need support with in terms of making that work-life balance truly happen in a way that they can be happy at work and enjoying work, but at the same time knowing that they've got to balance a little bit around how they spend time with their families.
Obviously, how do you balance companies who say, well, we can't afford two people in a part-time role, we can't afford people to leave the workplace and pay maternity for up to a year and a half, and companies under pressure to make money in a difficult time with the needs of women and family?
In my experience, and I'm a big advocate for getting the best use of people. I'm very lucky. I have got two executive assistants. One of them works Monday to Wednesday. The other one comes in on Wednesday and works for me on Thursday and Friday. So, you know, I've personal experience of how it can work, and it's not duplicating cost, it's not duplicating effort. Both absolutely know what's going on. They work very well together, and they demonstrate how you can make flexible working and shared job work for you know, a really important role for supporting a number of senior executives, not just me. In terms of paying for maternity leave, you know, people need to spend time with their children at the point where they're small, or at least need to have the choice to opt to do that with support. And if you don't do it, you're just going to lose out on talent. So it's not about, you know, a luxury of choosing to do this or not to do it. We've some extremely talented women, and to lose them from the workforce would be an economic disaster.
Did you have difficulties or periods in your career which were slower than others, being a female or having family?
There are times you make choices, and you certainly at different times in your life, as would men do, you prioritise and reprioritise. You decide how much of what you can take on. For me, a major turning point would have been about 12 years ago. I was working out of town quite a lot, and I would leave on a Monday morning and get back to Ireland on a Thursday night, maybe Friday night. When I had my own children, I made choices about what types of roles I could take up and what numbers of nights away from home that I would be comfortable with. And for me, for a period of time, that meant I made different choices about the roles that I would fill. But again, that's a period of time, and people understand that and they appreciate that, and then you kind of announce, well, I'm back now. I can be a little bit more flexible, I can be a little bit more available. Travel is less of a concern than it had been. But that said, it's always a balancing act. You don't make blanket decisions, and I think one of the best pieces of advice that I was given was, see how it works, try it out before you decide I can or I can't, or I'm not sure about that. Give it a go, and what's the worst that can happen?